Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I'll have guests on from Vernon Wood Retirement Home, so stay tuned for those interviews coming up in just a moment.
Just what you're looking for. You'll find it in one of the 28 shops in downtown LaGrange. Remember old school customer service? It's still here. Not to mention that perfect gift. That's the beauty of downtown LaGrange. So come on down.
Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm sitting down with ladies from the Vernon Woods Retirement Home. I have, first of all, Denise Stewart, and I also have on today Donnie Fonte. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with both you ladies this morning and talk about some of the wonderful things that are taking place out at Vernon Woods. You know, I've had an opportunity to visit out there a couple of times and just, you know, kind of intermingle with some of the residents and talk with some of the staff. And it seems like it's an electronic, energized place to be.
It is.
And I know that you ladies perhaps have the finger on the pulse out there, right?
We do.
Well, let's just jump in and talk about some of the things that are taking place. Denise, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your role there at Vernon Woods.
I am Life Enrichment Director. Activities. We do a lot of activities out there. We do a lot of outings. We have been to the mountains. We have been to the beach. We do what we call DD&J's Cafe once a month, where myself and Jessica and Dina come in and we cook breakfast for our residents. And this is something that they absolutely love, and we sometimes do it to a theme. We do that once a month. Just a lot of different activities. Yahtzee is one that you might not think would go over too well, but we have a lot of fun playing Yahtzee.
Okay.
We get loud and noisy sometimes.
All right. Well, very good. DG&J breakfast, where you cut for the resident. And you're talking about the resident, approximately how many residents do you all have currently there?
What'd you say, about 75, 80?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Very nice place, as I stated. I've been there a number of times, and it's always just, you know, a very attractive place. Hopefully one day when I grow a little bit of age, that I could retire to a place like that. Talking about a place like that, what is the normal age that you see going into a location like that? Either one of you ladies? Or what's the average age do you think you all have there?
We have 70s to, we have one that's 99 years old.
He's almost 100,
Yes.
yes.
Oh,
Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
One of our most active residents, actually.
It seems that that's the way it is most of the time. The older ones are most active
Yes.
a lot of times, right?
Well, you grow more active the older you get, really.
Absolutely.
I think that's the way it works.
And thank you, absolutely right. Donnie, and I know that you are very involved with some of the things that the ladies and gentlemen get involved. Talk a little bit about your role there, if you don't mind.
I am Fit for You instructor.
Okay.
And our Fit for You program is our overall strategic program. And this year, Denise set a plan for us to be a healthier you.
Yes.
And I love that because that involves our wellness activities, which I lead, the fitness programming, and direct anything that has to do with that overall fitness paradigm that we're trying to create to energize our residents to get out and be active, move their bodies, work their brain. We are working purpose life programming and implementing that and having great success, just being happier and healthier people.
Absolutely, you know, happy and healthier. Now, with all the activities, you said purpose, kind of like some purpose-driven activities. Give us some examples of what are you talking about there, if you don't mind.
Well, it's real important as we age and our life changes and our abilities change. We're going through change after change after change, and sometimes we regress and become fearful and don't feel like we can do that activity anymore or go do that exercise program or be involved in the greater community anymore because of whatever reason. So things sort of shut down. Well, this is really not what needs to happen in our life. We need to stay energized. We need to keep exercising. So our purpose life programming is out of that inspired community feeling, and it's more of that in community we connect with each other. There's a great sense of purpose and energy, And if you can't do something, maybe I can help you do that sort of connection with each other.
Okay.
So we do this in a gender-based way where our women are working together on a variety of projects and our men are working together. We sit and plan. It is their programming and they decide what they're going to do. It's a rolling, ongoing system, so to speak, of activity after activity that gives back.
Okay.
Our motto is, how can I help?
Well, very
And that's as simple as it gets. But we've done a variety of things where we've done a clothing drive with our women's group recently for the Yolanda Jabley Clothing Center.
Okay.
We'll talk about another one that the women are doing, but the men are working on helping the warming center and connecting in big ways on how to support the Homeless Coalition. So our veterans of Vernon Woods are working on an event for our spring, which our whole community will be invited to, and I think our women will come alongside of them as well.
Okay. Well, very good. Seems like a lot of things going on.
It's exciting.
Let me ask you, Denise, you say you plan various outings. You guys have been to the beach, you
Yes.
say, and you guys also went to the mountains. Talk about, like, when you get ready to go, what's a typical day like for you in planning an event for our seniors?
A typical day for me is one that is very, very active. I love what I do. I do what I do because I love our residents, and for me, from the moment I step into Vernon Woods, it seems like I'm just constantly going. But I think the thing that I would say the most is that I love the interaction. Sometimes it's not all about, being active here or being active there. Some of them just want to sit down and talk. Some of them want that one-on-one time is very important for them, because a lot of times all they want to do is sit down and have you listen.
Absolutely.
And when you sit down and listen to somebody, I myself have learned so much. I am very blessed to be where I am. Very fortunate to be where I am.
Very good.
Going throughout my day and doing all these activities, I can honestly say that when I go home, I'm full, I'm satisfied, and I am probably more fulfilled than some of them are.
So it's a trade-off there.
It's a trade-off, it is. And
absolutely.
some of the activities that we do, like, we'll start off with exercise, and then maybe in the middle of the day, we'll get together and we'll have an event, like we just did a Mardi Gras event yesterday. We had a good time there, but I think our Valentine event, which Edna can touch on some, was a huge success this year. Beautifully decorated. We had what we called a meet and greet. And we did it buffet style in the dining room. And we had Dale Allen come play the piano. And we got up and we danced and we fellowshipped and we had a great time together. And it's just stuff like that we do every day.
Very good. Let me ask you, ladies, and I'm sure you both have witnessed it. Does it seem like there may be some adjusting for the residents when they first move from their situations to the Vernon Woods?
You're touching on a huge
Yes.
topic that we have been tabling conversations, all of the directors there, at better transition for our residents. And I think we're coming up with some really good ideas. We want to involve our residents in helping newcomers come. We do have newcomers meetings. We do have orientation. But we're going to, I think, make some very good changes, in the months ahead toward helping our residents see that it is in fact a life change moving into community life. That they can embrace. It's an attitude. It's a involvement right off the bat when you come in going, I'm a part of something bigger than myself this time. And so when I walk through this door, I can open up and not be afraid to engage. And we help to empower people to become active in every way possible if they choose to do that.
Very good. And I like the fact you say get engaged in the community. When you think about the word community, it's a common unity. And I think when the residents come together, and like you said, one may not be able to do this, but one may be able to do that.
right.
But when they come together, they get it accomplished.
Yes.
When we plan program, especially fitness programming, when I'm looking at that, everyone has a different ability. Good instructors need to be able to modify for the crowd that's there. Whether people need to be standing and doing exercise, I need to provide that for them. Or if someone may have experienced a stroke or they have a debilitating problem that's, you know, very hard for them to be a part of, the programs need to be modified for them. A difficult situation is when someone has blindness or hearing loss, and modifying all programming, socialization program as well as activity program can be very challenging.
Yes.
So we have to take into consideration those types of things so that it's inclusive and not exclusive.
There's a lot of, I guess, juggling
Yes.
that you have to go through in order to meet the needs of the residents there. And you were talking a little bit a moment ago, Dottie, about some purpose-driven thing, and you talked about the ladies doing some fund drives. And there was another one that I wanted to talk about before we close out, because you also mentioned, Denise, you mentioned about one of the residents. We're going to be bringing one of the
Yes.
residents up momentarily. You talk about it was a little dress for Africa. Talk a little bit about that for us, if you don't mind.
This is one of our first Purpose Life programs that we did last year. One of our residents, Linda Willoughby, who is so active in our community, she won the Leading Age of Georgia Award for her efforts and her participation as just a fabulous person, number one, but a giving person. And she led this initiative, which was all-encompassing for not only our residents but our staff. We made over 50 dresses, and people raised money. We got them to Nigeria, and the orphanage that they were delivered to just was thrilled. We have wonderful pictures. And not only that, is we had the Nigerian chiefess and chief come back to Vernon Woods and meet our residents.
Oh, that was
So this was just wonderful, and it was a great project, and it really spurred on that sense of I can do more.
absolutely.
So,
Well, ladies, wonderfully information. I tell you what I'm going to do, because I understand that we do have one of the residents of Vernon Wood that's here with us
Yes.
today, that I want to bring her up. And I also know, Dottie, you have a little quote that you want to kind of sum all this up. If I can get you to save that to the end,
Okay.
and we'll sum it up at the end. We'll bring up the residents, we'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back in just a moment, okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment.
Why United Way? Because 99 cents of every dollar donated to United Way of West Georgia stays right here to help your neighbors. Yes, 99 cents. United Way makes every penny count. You can count on United Way, and United Way of West Georgia is counting on you. Please give today.
Welcome back, City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still sitting down here now with Denise Stewart from Vernon Woods Retirement Home. Also, I have a resident that I'm going to introduce in just a moment. But Denise, as we left off, we were talking about some of the activities that you all were having at the Vernon Woods, and we just
Yes.
celebrated Valentine's. Talk a little bit about the Valentine's Day dance.
The dance. Well, I love to get our residents up and active. So Wild Bill that I talked about, who was 99 years old, he has been my dancing partner since he came there. So I said, come on, Bill, let's dance. And in doing that, several others got up and danced as well. And that's what it's all about, because sometimes all it needs is one person taking that step, and then the rest of them are going to join in. You know?
Absolutely. And I want to introduce now one of the residents of Vernon Wood. I think this lady doesn't really need an introduction because I think she's been around the City of LaGrange and surrounding areas for quite some time, Miss Edna Foster. Edna, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Alton. I am so glad to be here and tell my story.
All right. Well, before you tell your story, Edna,
okay.
I want to ask you about the Valentine's dance. Did you get out and dance as well?
I tell you, I didn't. I'm not much of a dancer, but we had these wonderful love songs that Dale played.
Yes.
They were great. They had champagne, different kinds of wine. The tables were fixed so beautifully. And they asked us to do something that most of us are very resistant about that.
Yes.
Change tables. When we came
Oh.
in, you can't sit at your record table, you gotta sit here, you gotta sit here. And everybody loved it. And I was so pleased and surprised.
Oh.
And we had a wonderful meal. And there was just a feeling of celebration, more of a sense of community than I felt so far.
In a long
It was
time.
just wonderful. We're moving in a marvelous direction.
Very good.
Which I'll tell you about the direction
Okay,
when I get
very
there.
good. And as I've known you now for probably about a year. Tell us a little bit about Edna, because I know that you are a great volunteer here in our community. Talk a little bit about Edna, so people can know who Edna is.
Well, I moved here 7 years ago, and I just love politics. My politics don't usually agree with any of the politics in this community, but I write letters to the editor sometimes and tell them how I feel. I've been very involved in newcomers. I've been involved in Sierra Club. I'm very involved in St. Mark's, my church, and we do something called Meals on Wheels, which I'll talk about a little bit later too.
Very good, very good. Now, are all the residents, Denise, as energetic as Edna?
We have several that are, but I think we can say Edna is a big ringleader.
Okay. I think I would agree with that too. Absolutely.
Maybe I'm guilty.
Well, you know what though, it's so exciting for me to see our seniors like Edna and some of the others.
I'm 82.
Okay, to have fun, to still have that fire of life, because I think
Yes.
that helps them to prolong their life here. So, I'm hoping that I can be as energetic as you are, Edna.
Oh,
Thank
me
you.
too.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. Now, Edna, let me ask you a question, because you have lived at Vernon Woods now for about a year, I understand, right? Prior to that, you were living in your own place. Talk a little bit about your decision to move from your own residence into Vernon Woods.
Well, I'd like to take you back to about a year and a couple of months ago. I was living in a wonderful house. I had wonderful neighbors. I was involved with my church. I still had some things going on in the community, but something in me was just dying. I was very lonely. My husband died 5 years ago, and I just felt lonelier and more depressed all the time. And so what my family and I decided might be good for me was to move to Vernon Woods. Well, it wasn't easy. I just couldn't really get it together, and it was very, very hard to change my lifestyle from eating whenever I wanted, and not too good of meals at that, to going and eating at 5 o'clock. But my tummy's used to it now. 5 o'clock, I'm hungry, I'm ready. I sit at a wonderful table. But anyway, when I got there, it was a long and hard time for me. I continued to be depressed. But everybody was so loving. Everybody in that staff adores all of us. And they show it with hugs and smiles and honey, baby, darling, sweetheart at the meals. The food is wonderful.
Yes.
The soups, I could, and I eat regular meals now, and it's healthier. We have a nurse who is on call, and we have a little button we can push if we have any problem. I could just continually feel all this love and this care, and I began to relax. And what has happened to me now is I just feel at peace. The word that describes my life now is content. And because it's not just being cared for, it's being allowed to do all the crazy things that come into my head that I want to do. And I just love doing them. And the latest thing, which Denise and Dottie and I worked on our little inspired group. I deliver Meals on Wheels, and I do that today. And I have 11 residents that I take a hot meal to from St. Mark's. And so because we couldn't do all 100 of them, we took my group and we made these wonderful Valentine baskets that she found for us.
Oh, great.
And what all we have in there?
We had all kinds of stuff in there.
We had some jewelry.
Socks for the men.
Okay.
Socks and combs and I don't know, soap and all that kind of stuff. But it was a wonderful basket. And we took them last week and they were just, they were thrilled.
So
Just
you sound like
thrilled.
you're very, very active there at Vernon Woods there,
Yes.
Nat. Very active there, are you not? And as you was telling your story, you said when you first, it was a little difficult for you, but then now
Very difficult.
contentment. What do you think, because you had been out on your own, so independent all the time, what do you think was the biggest resistance there?
I think when I was writing in my journal this morning, I wrote down all the things that I was afraid of when I moved. Fear of not making friends, fear of losing my connection to the community, fear of just being bored to death. I had all these fears. And you know, perfect love casts out fear.
Yes.
And we were just in the midst of perfect love.
Yes.
Every single person that works there because they love us and they love their God.
Yes.
And they're just a team.
Very good.
And they're cross-trained. I remember one time I dropped my telephone in the toilet. And the staff members came. I was hanging on for dear life. And she said, "It's okay, let go." I said, "I can't let go." So I let go. It stayed right there. She fished it out. She opened it up. She dried it off. And she put it in a bag of rice and told me to leave it for 24 hours. And my phone started working.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they can do it all. And they
Absolutely.
are so cheerful about it.
Very
There's always a pat on the arm. It's just, I wrote a love letter to Vernon Woods, which I put in the LaGrange Daily News. And I didn't know that my little letters to the editor had such readership. I must have had 30 people tell me, "I loved your letter."
Yeah.
And 2 of them came to Vernon Woods because they read it.
Well, very good. So encouraging, so encouraging, so inspiring. You know, Denise, I saw you sit there, and it has to be, I heard you mention earlier, it has to be rewarding for you as a
is.
staff person and the others that are there to see that you can help to transition a person's life from those fears to the contentment.
Absolutely.
Talk about that for us.
Absolutely.
And then we'll have a quote that I'm going to read before we get ready to close out. Any final words there, Denise, if you don't mind?
I know you saw me get really touched by what Edna was saying, but you know, I'm just going to say this to close out, because sometimes when I come to work, as we all do, we have what I call not so good days. And I can come to work and I can be having one of those not so good days, and I can walk in to this, "I'm so happy to see you," or "good morning," or "give me a hug," and it just melts all that away. And these residents, they're my life. They are a part of my family. This is not just a
Mine
job
too.
to me. You know, it's not just a job. This is my journey. This is my mission field. This is what I do because I love what I do.
Very good. I want to read a quote that was left by Dottie, and she asked me if I could read it. I think it kind of brings all this to a closure here. A quote, this is A Year by the Sea by Joan Anderson. And the quote is, "I'm coming to see that life is not a lesser thing than I imagined it to be.
Yes.
Rather, it holds more than I have time to seize. The big secret is that everything doesn't happen in youth."
And that's the truth.
That's the truth. I want to thank both you ladies for being
Thank
on
you.
this show. Denise, thank you very much. Edna, thank you for very much for coming on and
Thank
sharing your story with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment.
Just what you're hungry for. It's in downtown LaGrange. You have 17 restaurants to choose from, and each has its own personality, from chef-driven establishments to life on the casual side. Celebrate, create traditions, make new friends, discover new tastes. Downtown LaGrange is simply delicious. So come on down.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining for City Week this week. My guests have been from Vernon Wood Retirement Community, Dottie Funt, and also Denise Stewart, along with the residents, Edna Foster, who shared her wonderful story of why she transitioned into the Vernon Wood. Also, they talked about some purpose-driven activities. Ladies and gentlemen, if you hadn't had the opportunity to visit Vernon Wood, I would just suggest you go by. I'm sure they would be happy to take you on a tour, and who knows, you may just see Edna Foster out there in some of her activities. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed those interviews, and as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.
This is Bobby McClellan with the City of LaGrange Garage, and I'm here to talk to you about another winter car care tip for your vehicle. One very important thing you need to check is all your vehicle's fluids. There are a few fluids you need to check, which is your engine oil, your transmission fluid, your power steering fluid, and your brake fluid, and your washer fluid. These are all very simple things to check, and it's very important to keep them where you need to be in your vehicle. First thing I want to talk to you about is your power steering fluid, which on my vehicle is right here. On your power steering fluid reservoir, there's going to be a maximum and a minimum level, and some of them have a dipstick. It's very important to keep it within the proper levels or you'll have a problem steering. Another thing you need to check is your engine brake fluid, which is here. It also has a maximum and minimum level, usually a see-through glass, very easy to check. You also need to check your oil and your transmission fluid, which both have a dipstick, which on my vehicle are here and here. Easy to check. The engine oil you check with the vehicle off and it cool. The transmission fluid you need to check with the vehicle running and the engine warm. That way the levels are correct. Another thing you need to look for is your windshield washer fluid, which is on my vehicle here. And a good thing you need to put in it would be windshield washer fluid with de-icer. The de-icer helps during winter because it helps to actually clean the windshield off if it gets frosted over during the winter. And also, of course, you need to check your windshield wipers, which I have one here. Windshield wipers are very easy to check. You just need to make sure they do not streak on your windshield and check to make sure the rubber is clean and clear of any debris. This is just another simple car care tip from the City of LaGrange. These are just general care tips for your vehicle. Please refer to your owner's manual for any vehicle specifications.
Why United Way? Because in some way, everyone in our community is touched by your donation to United Way of West Georgia. Yes, everyone. United Way helps 25 local agencies touch thousands of lives, even yours. To cause so many good things to happen, these organizations must have volunteers. Fortunately, more than 2,300 local volunteers are now giving time to the 25 local organizations that United Way of West Georgia helps support. Yes, more than 2,300 volunteers. But more are needed. Please volunteer your time, as well as your financial support. You'll be astonished at what you'll receive in return.